Yo, what's going on, guys? It's your boy Damien with White Belt Goons. If you're new here, this is a channel for older grapplers who are starting jiu-jitsu, typically over the age of 40. If you're over the age of 30 and you're new to this, you're a white belt. I'm just sharing my experience and kind of leaving those breadcrumbs for you guys so that you don't have to go through the same shit. Or if you are going through the same shit, you know that you're not alone. Today, I want to talk about something very important. It is listening to your body. Let me say this again. I want to talk about something very important. It is listening to your body. All of us, when we get into jiu-jitsu, we want to roll. There are some schools out there, they don't allow you to roll until you're maybe a 2-stripe white belt. There's some schools out there, you have to get so many classes in before you can roll. But at some point in time, you will be able to roll. And you're going to find yourself in a situation where you're at what's called even an open mat, or you'll have some formatted time in your practice to get some sparring sessions in, some rolling sessions in. At some point in time when you start doing this, you're going to experience a couple of different things. Number one, you're going to experience a high level of fatigue, but you're going to get to a point where your cardio gets better, your mat cardio, as we call it, gets better. Then you're going to get to a point where you're feeling super sore, your legs are kind of giving out, like maybe you want to throw up. But at some point in time, you're going to get past that too. You're going to get to a point where you're able to roll, and you're going to be able to roll your 3, your 6, maybe your 8 rounds, right? Anywhere from 3 to 5 minutes. But at some point in time, when you start rolling, you are going to hit a point where a little voice inside your head or a little voice inside your heart is going to say, that's the last one. You are going to finish the roll, and something inside of you is going to say, that's the last one, that's enough, go ahead and call it. Now, if you're at a good school, your coaches are going to say, look, if you're older, if you're newer, you don't have to roll every round. You can sit out. If you get to a point where you feel overly gassed, feel free to call it. But you, just like me, are going to do the exact same thing that I have done over and over again, as recently as 2 weeks ago, where that little voice is going to tell you, you're done, go ahead and call it a night. And then you're going to answer the bell to the question, hey, do you want to roll one more time? You're going to hear it from somebody, someone in your gym, as you're walking over to the wall, or as you're walking over to get your shoes, or you're putting on your clothes, you're taking off your gi. Somebody in that room is going to utter the phrase, hey, do you have one more in you? And just like me and just like everybody else that's nodding their head in agreement, you're going to make the mistake and you're going to say, sure. Guys, every single time that I've had that little voice in my heart, every single time that I've had that little voice in my head, every single time that the angel on my shoulder has said, hey, go ahead and call it a night, and I've refused to listen, I've gotten injured. Now, twice, I'm not going to say they were major injuries, but they weren't minor injuries. The one time that really comes to mind was a situation where I had been in the gym for maybe 6 months. I come in, I do the open mat, I get my 3 to 5 rounds in, and that little voice says, hey man, go ahead and call it a night, go home. And as I'm walking off the mat, a guy who had done a trial class the day before, he walks in. Now, we had talked about meeting up at open mat, but for whatever reason, he got the times wrong, right? So as I'm coming off the mat, there's like 10 minutes left in class, and this guy shows up. And he's like, yo, where you going? I'm like, bro, the open mat started a fucking hour ago, man. You were supposed to be here 50 minutes ago. I'm about to dip. And he's like, I just drove here. It took me 45 minutes to drive here. I came here specifically for you. Can we get one roll in before you go? Now, full transparency, no disrespect to this guy. This guy was like 420 pounds. I'm not exaggerating. Very large human, an absolute refrigerator of a man, right? And I'm like, I should be going. I've already taken off my gi, but I'm like, yeah, sure, bro, no problem. I put my gi back on. We walk over to the mat, and the head coach who's running the open mat, he's sitting up against the wall, and he goes, hey, you know, we were working takedowns last night. He recognized that this was the guy from the night before. And coach says, hey guys, look, no takedowns because he's new. He's talking about the newer guy, right? No problem. I bump fists with this guy and I go to pull guard. And right as I tie up with this dude, he blasts a double leg. And right as he blasts the double leg, I sprawl because literally the coach who's sitting 3 feet away from us just said no takedowns. So right as I sprawl, I look at the coach and I'm like, is this guy serious? And he just fucking blasts through the double leg, right? And all you hear is my growing just pop, right? Snap. And so I hit the ground and I'm just like, oh, right? I'm thinking that like I tore my quad. I'm thinking that maybe like I blew my knee, but ultimately I had torn the labrum, or better yet, he had torn the labrum in my groin, right? So, I mean, that was February of 2025. It's May of 2026. And if I move my leg a certain way right now, I can still feel that shit. 2 weeks ago, same thing happens. I'm about to leave the mat. I had a couple of good rolls. One of the newer white belts is like, yo, you know, can I get a roll in with you? And I always try to roll with the newer white belts because I'm a white belt myself. I've been there for 2 years. I understand. I get it. I'm rolling with this guy. He's on me like fucking stink on shit. I end up like going out the back door, coming around the backside. And as he tries to scramble to get into a 50-50, he elbows the shit out of me right on the bridge of my eye and literally knocks me out. Like one of those 30 seconds where you're on the ground and all you hear is the, right? You saw the flash, you hear the beep, like your bell is rung and you're just laying there out of it, right? So that was 2 weeks ago. But again, that's on me. And I'm telling you guys, from firsthand experience, like when you hear that little voice that tells you it is time to shut it down and take your old ass home, shut it down and take your old ass home. Coach always says, every coach in the gym, but specifically the head coach at my facility, he always says, Jits isn't going anywhere. It'll be here next week. It'll be here tomorrow. And guys, if you allow yourself to lean into that Jits will be there next week, Jits will be there tomorrow, and you don't overdo it, you don't try to push through, and clearly there's a time and a place for that, but I'm talking about something different. I'm talking about clearly knowing, clearly seeing, clearly understanding that you're tired, that you've had enough, that you're sore. You're going to know, and when you know, you've got to stick with that decision to not take that extra roll. That one extra roll is the one that always hurts people. It's the one that always fucks people up the week before competition. It's the one that always fucks people up right before they go on vacation. It's the one that always happens, right before the weekend. So when you hear that little voice, just listen to it. Just listen to it. And trust me, if you don't, you'll suffer the same fate that I have and many other white belts have as too, okay? So as always, I appreciate you guys being here, listening to me rant and ramble. Please, if you haven't, like, share, and subscribe. And as always, be great. White Belt Goons.